Welcome to the pocket. My name is Scooter, and here for you guys today. I got my Week 14 Moneyline picks. I've been doing real great with these all year. So if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Leave a like to support the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments if you think I got any of these picks wrong. Now, in the template I've got, you're going to see the game, the spread, the over/under. You're going to see what the Vegas projection is based off of those, and then you're going to get my pick, right? So now we're going to hop right into this, but not before acknowledging the Thursday night football game, the Packers versus the Lions. Obviously, this time it was way closer. The Packers really had them on the ropes there, even though they started off a little slow. I did pick the Packers to win in an upset, but it did not happen. It was very, very close, but the Lions, they went for it on fourth down when they were in field goal range to tie, to just take the lead, right? But they were afraid of Jordan Love getting the ball back and scoring, so they decided to, get the first down and basically ice the game at that point. So very, very good moves by the Lions coaching staff, very confident and calculated risk taking, and that's something you need to be one of the best teams in the NFL. So that's why they're up there in my power rankings. But without further ado, let's get into the money line picks this week. And starting things off, we're going to talk about the Panthers at the Eagles. Now, this game, I believe, features the largest spread of any of the games this week, 12.5 in favor of Philadelphia, and the over-under is 46. So the Vegas projection for that would be 29.25 to 16.75. So if we round up and down, that's like 29-17. Now, do I think that the Eagles are going to run all over the Panthers? Yes, I do. Um, as much as the Panthers have looked better recently, they really haven't done it against a quality team like the Eagles. I mean, they're just in completely different tiers. Just because you're better relatively to your own level of competition, your own expectations that have been set throughout the season doesn't mean that you're ready to take on a team like the Eagles. So I think it's possible that the Panthers can cover the spread, but they'd really have to keep up offensively, and I just don't see that happening. So that's my take on that game. Moving on to the next game, we have the New York Jets, and they're traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins in their not cold weather stadium. So this is obviously a benefit and advantage for the Dolphins. We know they play better in warm weather, and they are terrible in cold weather. So hence the Dolphins are 5.5-point favorites, and there's a 45.5-point total. So it's honestly decently high. So that's going to be a projected Dolphins win of 25.5-20, right? So either 26 or 25-20. I'm going to take the Dolphins to win. I'm going to take them to cover the spread too. So I have them going 27-18. Now, that would be the under, right? Because that's going to add up to 45. And I am going to take the Dolphin spread though. I just think this is as much as I spoke already about the advantage of the Dolphins playing in a warm weather setting, the Jets also just haven't been able to figure it out all year. I was super high on them, but eventually, I just came to accept that they're just not going to be able to get it done, right? The Seattle game, they had every opportunity to win that. They were doing well on special teams, and that's usually a clear indicator that you're going to win a football game is special teams and turnovers, but they couldn't get it done. So if they're not getting it done against the Seahawks, I don't see them getting it done against the Dolphins, especially when they have home field advantage. Moving on to our next game, we got the Falcons, and they're traveling to the Vikings. Obviously, the Vikings have been very good this year. They're favored by 5.5. The over-under is set at 46. So the Vikings are projected to win, say, 26-20, somewhere in that range. Something interesting, a narrative alert that I want to note is Kirk Cousins, back when he was in Minnesota, he had a year under Brian Flores, right? Not obviously Brian Flores coaches defense, right? But they were practicing against each other, right? Scheming up, game plans, offense and defense for each other. So they've got some familiarity with each other, right? So that can be sort of a double-edged sword. You could say, oh, well, Kirk is more familiar with the Brian Flores defense because he was so close to it, right? But then on the other hand, you can also say, well, Brian Flores is, as a defensive coordinator, has been able to see all of Kirk Cousins' strengths and weaknesses. So he knows how to attack them. So I'm going to lean on the side that the defensive coordinator, especially one as unique as Brian Flores, is going to get the advantage when it comes to that narrative. And as much as I love the Falcons offense, I just don't see him playing a full game against the Vikings. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win and cover the spread 27-20. So I'm still giving the Falcons some respect. I do think they will find a way to score. But if they throw like 4 picks like they did last week, then this game is going to get ugly and ugly fast. Moving on to our next game. We got the New Orleans Saints going to take on my New York Giants. Oh boy, this is going to be like the game of the week, isn't it? Right? Oh man. Well, at least in this game, it's actually a low total, and the spread isn't too far apart. The Saints are favored by 4.5. Over under is 41. So the Giants have a lot of injuries even now, continuing to stack up, and I'll elaborate more on my video coming out later today about what those are and what the adversity the Giants are facing going into this game. But in the end of the day, the Saints have their starting quarterback back. They got Derek Carr. They don't have Olave and they don't have Rashid Shaheed, but they still do have Kamara. I believe Taysom Hill's done for the year, but they do have Juwan Johnson. So they got obviously their offense is missing some pieces, but it's definitely more effective than ours. They're gonna score enough points in this game, and I don't think Drew Lock is going to be able to do anything about it with all the injuries to the offensive line. So I have the Saints winning 23-17, covering that 4.5 point spread, and that would also be the over, right? So I think it could go either way with the over under, whether it's 20-17, 20-14, or 23-17, like I have it. I just think Drew Lock is going to kind of, score some garbage time points, kind of like he did against the Cowboys. But in the end of the day, the Saints are going to get it done. But yeah, the over under is like, I don't know how I feel about that one. Usually that's kind of unpredictable with the Giants, but we'll see. Moving on to our next game. This was fun last time. The Browns are taking on the Steelers, and the Steelers are home this time. So they're not in Cleveland with that absolutely dreadful, weather conditions that they had to deal with. And the Steelers are 6.5 point favorites, so they're favored by about a touchdown. The over-under set at 43.5. Like I said, Cleveland got the upset last time, and I wasn't really anticipating it. Even with the weather, I would have guessed that it would have actually helped the Steelers because I would assume they could protect the ball better, right? Because the Browns were starting Jameis Winston, but he just had one of those magical games. He's having a pretty good stretch right now, so I'm not saying the Browns don't have a chance in this game, but what I ultimately do feel is that the Steelers are home, right? They're not going to be caught off guard this time. They played this team already. And even though the Browns are dangerous, they're not dangerous every week. They're inconsistent. And they're going to have these down weeks. And you know what? I just think at Pittsburgh, right? You've already played this team once already. You had a great hot week last week. It's kind of something I'm expecting is that, all right, now they're going to come back down to earth. Steelers are too good to lose to the Browns twice. They're going to get the win 24-17. So I'm putting some respect on their name. But I'm very close to the Vegas pick on that, right? Because Vegas has 25-18. But I'm going to go with the under. But I will take the Steelers to cover the spread. Moving on to our next game, we got the Raiders going to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. The Bucs are 6.5 point favorites, and the over/under is at 46. So that projects about 26-20 victory for the Buccaneers. Now, the Raiders looked really good last week, right? And if you were just sort of basing, how you make these picks off of, okay, how are teams playing the past few weeks? This is not a week or a game that you want to base it off of for the Raiders. They're a completely different team when they play the Chiefs, right? And obviously the Chiefs are a Super Bowl contending team. So if you play well against them, you're going to get some sort of credit. But sometimes there's just these anomalies, right? Where Aiden O'Connell is like the best quarterback against Patrick Mahomes over the past 20 games or so. So I as much as I don't, like I said, I don't hate the Raiders. I'm not necessarily pushing for them because we're going to be competing with them in this offseason for quarterbacks and stuff. But I like some of their young players and stuff, but I'm just not going to buy into, the success they had last week and say they're going to carry it over against a team like the Buccaneers. So I'm going to take the Bucs to win. I'm going to take them to win 28-17. So I would have them covering the spread, and that would be the under, right? Because that's going to add up to 45. So that's my take for that game. Not really too much to say. Moving on to our next game, it's going to be Jacksonville at Tennessee, another game of the week nomination here. The Jags are now without Trevor Lawrence. We all saw that absolutely egregious hit that was laid on him. He's on IR. He's going to be probably shut down for the entire rest of the season. So Mac Jones is going to be out there dueling it out against Will Levis. So it should be an ugly game. Tennessee hasn't really been consistent. They got blown out last week, but the week before they beat the Texans. So it's kind of like, all right, who are you? Whereas with the Jaguars, I really haven't seen any of that from them even. So I think it makes sense that the Titans are favored by 3.5. I think the over-under might be just a little bit low, but I am still going to take it just because of the quarterback play. I got the Titans winning 21-17. I just have seen more from the Titans throughout this year. I get it's a divisional game. Anything could happen, and I really hope the Jaguars win because you know what? they're ahead of us right now in the draft. And if they win, I think that's going to be huge for us, because if they win and the Raiders get another win, the Jaguars and Raiders will play each other down the road, and one of them will be cemented behind the Giants. But back to this game, um, I do think the Titans offense is going to be able to do enough to control this game with the run game. Obviously, they got, a bit of a breakout of young wide receivers, and then, all those guys behind Calvin Ridley. So they got some weapons. They got some stuff to work with. They're going to get this one done. Should be pretty plain and simple. Moving on to our next game, we got the Seahawks at Arizona, and the Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites, and there's a 44.5-point over-under on this one. Now, this was a game where previously in the year, the Seahawks defense absolutely dominated the Cardinals. Their offensive line couldn't handle Mike McDonald's scheme, and that's going to be a big problem for the Cardinals. Obviously, this is a divisional team. He's a brand new head coach. You're going to have to learn how to, basically play against him year after year. And if your biggest weakness is offensive line, you can never figure it out, you're never going to surpass them. So I think they're going to make a bunch of adjustments to try to, attack this Mike McDonald defense. They're home this time. And I think that's just going to be enough of an advantage, because that game, the score was like 16-6 or something the last time they played, but it was closer than that for the majority of the game. So I think, just that little edge that they're going to have being home, your second look at the defense, I think that they're going to win 21-20. So I will not be taking Cardinal spread. I would take Seahawks spread. But because in a close game like this, as much as I love trying to get the pick right, sometimes you just got to take the points. Give me Seattle plus 2.5, but give me the Cardinals to win by 1. And that's also the under, right? I'm not totally anticipating that the Cardinals will have figured everything out, right, that the Seahawks were doing to stop them. But I think they're going to, they're going to make some adjustments that, end up showing some results. But this, to me, all jokes aside, this is probably the game of the week to me. I really love the Cardinals. I like the Seahawks too. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan, but, you can root for other teams. And, I want to see the Cardinals do good this year. To me, they're a bit of an underdog, and Kyler's one of my favorite underrated QBs. So rooting for him, and I really hope he gets that win. It's going to be huge to make the playoffs. Now we got 4 games left, starting with the Bills at the Rams. This one is, to me, the most glaring spread of the week. That really doesn't make too much sense to me. The Bills are favored by 3.5. The over-under is at 49.5. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, the Bills, you think the Bills are going to win this game 27-23? I mean, is that possible? 1,000%. But you don't think they're going to win by a touchdown? I mean, come on. Like the Rams, sure, they've got a competitive offense, but they just haven't consistently been able to, score like 23, 24, 27, like throughout this season, with the injuries they've had and whatnot. And, they got, well, when I say injuries, what I meant was Kupp and Puka early in the year, but now it's the offensive line, it's the defense. They're getting healthier, but it's just going to be too little too late, in my opinion. The Bills are an absolute monster. They're a powerhouse. They're a buzzsaw. And I see no way the Rams are going to be able to hold Josh Allen to less than 30. But, if so, we'll see. I mean, they got some young defensive players who have been playing well. Jared Verse, what's his name? Braden Fisk. They both went to Florida State, I believe. And, they've been playing pretty well for the Rams right next to each other. So good for them. But like I said, just don't see him stopping Josh Allen. Moving on to our next game. This one should be interesting. Throwback to when Justin Fields beat the 49ers in like week 2. We all thought he was going to be amazing. Now he might end up playing for the Giants, but nonetheless, we got the Bears taking on the 49ers again. And the 49ers are 4-point favorites, and the over-under is at 44. So to me, this game is very, very comparable to the Jets-Dolphins game. If you actually look at my power rankings, I'll pull them up real quick just so I get the exact numbers. But where you see I have the 49ers and the Dolphins is back-to-back at 18 and 19. They're both 5-7 teams. And then you have the Bears and the Jets. Now I have the Bears at 22. I do think they're better than the Jets right now, but I think they have the same problem as the Jets, who are at 27. The Bears are 4-8 and the Jets are 3-9. What's their problem? They just can't figure out how to win games, right? They're in position to win games or put them away, or at least give themselves a quality chance to, stay competitive in a game, and they just can't do it. They don't have the coaching quality. The Bears just fired their head coach. The Jets fired their head coach this year. And the Dolphins and the 49ers, despite the injuries and the adversity they faced this year, they're still 5-7, right? And part of that is because of the coaching. So I see a very similar result, but I'm a little bit less confident in the 49ers, only because less confident in them than I am in the Dolphins to win. Um, but I am going to take them to win. But I'll take them to win 20-17. So that is not San Fran spread. That is Chicago +4. And that is under. To me, that is an easy bet. The under. I mean, sure, could Caleb Williams get hot in a half and put up 24, and obviously San Fran's going to come pretty close to matching that. Yeah, I could see that happening, but at the end of the day, if we're only seeing it for a half, and San Fran's got all these injuries on offense going up against the Bears defense, I don't see the overhitting, and that's going to make it tough for San Fran to cover that spread. So give me San Fran 20-17, Bears +4, under 44. Moving on to our next game. This is going to be a good one right here. We got Chargers at KC. KC's been they've been tested recently, but not by high quality opponents. They were tested by the Raiders last week and the Panthers the week before, and everyone's ready to pounce on this Chiefs team. And you know what? I'm not until they lose, right? Like a bad one of those games, or say they drop one of the Chargers. And even still, I would sort of expect, okay, they're not going to be perfect, right? They just got to be perfect in the playoffs. But even still, I think the Chiefs are they're 4-point favorites, and the over-under's at 43. So they're projected to win somewhere around 23-19. Pretty much what I think is going to happen. I actually think outside of the spread at times, Vegas is pretty good at predicting what the Chiefs are going to do. So I have the Chiefs winning 23-20. The Chargers have, like I said, they have another shot to beat this Chiefs team. But you know what? This identity and this culture that the Chargers want to establish is already what the Chiefs have. The Chiefs have an elite quarterback. They've got a great coaching staff. They've got an elite defense. And then they've got enough weapons on offense paired with their offensive line. And Mahomes is just enough to scrape out these games. And you know what? It's sort of the same thing with the Chargers. They got a great offensive line. They got Justin Herbert. Their defense is not the Chiefs, but it's playing much better this year. And, they don't have like a bona fide number one wide receiver, but they got young guys like Ladd McConkey. And, they got a collection of tight ends and Quentin Johnson, who they drafted, last year. And he's not really working out too well. But, and Josh Palmer, it's kind of like the Chiefs, where you got some guys who got some upside. You got some guys who are just sort of like role players, and they just get it done. And to me, the Chiefs are just better at that. So if you needed a further explanation of why I was picking the Chiefs in this game and what I really think about who the Chargers are right now, that's what I think about them. But I don't think they're going to be good enough to win this game. It would take some luck. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it would take some luck for sure. And then moving on to our final game. This would have been a game I would have been very excited to watch, rooting for the Bengals, of course. And they're traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Bengals are 5.5-point favorites, and the over-under set at 49.5. So that would project the Bengals to win somewhere around 27-22. I think that's a pretty good projection. I don't think the Cowboys defense is going to be able to hold this Bengals offense to less than 28. And I would certainly not be shocked if, the Cowboys somehow put up 20 points on this Bengals team. So that's actually what I'm going to take them to do. I'm going to take the Bengals to win, but they're going to win 28-21. They are going to cover the spread. But that would be just under the over-under. So that over-under is in a really good spot. It's really just a difference of a garbage time field goal or, garbage time points from the losing team. In this case, it would be the Cowboys. So it just kind of depends on what happens there. But I don't really think there's a lot to say with this. The Bengals have struggled to win games all year, but this is like they played the Giants and, they looked pretty competent and they won even though it was close. I think we might see something similar here. Where even if the Cowboys are able to hang around for 3 quarters eventually, I mean, come on, like the Bengals are going to win some of these games, right? We'll see. So those are my takes so far this week. I guess I'm starting off 0-1. I did pick the Packers, but even though that is unfortunate, it's okay because I believe I'm ranked 10th in expert consensus accuracy for picking the money lines. I'm 129-61. I will do a final recount at the end of the year and guarantee you guys what exactly it was, but that's what it's coming out to right now, and I've gone over it a couple times, so I'm feeling very, very good about these money line picks. I feel good about them this week, especially as I get further into the season, right? Once you really find out who the teams are. I mean, last week I went 13-3. The week before I went 9-4. 8-6. All right, you get a couple weeks in there where there's some upsets that you just don't see coming. But 9-5, I'm usually well above 500 on these picks. So, but like I said last week, 13-3 was a great week. So, and I don't really see too many games this week that I could be wrong. If I had to guess, what's a game that I could get wrong here? I'm usually wrong sometimes about the Cardinals. I picked them to win last week in an upset. I could see the Bears beating the 49ers. Let's see. Jacksonville could always pull one out against Tennessee. Tennessee's not a great team. I would really be surprised if the Falcons won. Could the Giants win against the Saints? Maybe. Probably not, though. Could the Raiders give up a fight against the Bucs? Probably not. I don't think the Jets are going to win, and I would really be utterly shocked if the Panthers won. That would be hilarious. But those things probably aren't going to happen. I think this is going to be another good week of the Moneyline picks. So as I said in the beginning of the video, if you disagree with any of these picks or you have any other thoughts, please leave them in the comments. Tell me, which game am I getting wrong here? Do you think the Cardinals are going to beat the Seahawks? I don't know. And if you want to see all of my Moneyline pick videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't miss a single upload, and you won't regret it. And then leave a like to support the channel and keep it pushing. It's been a great first year of doing the pocket for you guys. And I've appreciated all the support very much, and I couldn't do it without you guys. So until later, when I post my Giants preview video, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Peace out.